Gen Xers, I know you know this one. Clap your hands. Keep clapping. Oh, Annette wrote a play, tried to put on a show. She was Caucasian. Annette wrote a play, tried to put on a show. She was Caucasian. Went to the library, put on a show. Administrators, they told her no, because she was Caucasian. Said they're black and you can't do that, because she was Caucasian. Said they're black and you can't do that, because she was Caucasian. Said they're black and you can't do that. Get out of this place and don't come back, because you're Caucasian. Yeah. Generation X. Stand up. I'm so silly. What's up, guys? This is the Gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends, and putting up with me. I hope all is well with you. Now listen, got this cute little story here, and it speaks to something that I've talked a lot about. And I've heard people ask the question when it comes to the race swapping issue. What if it were the other way around, people say. What if it were the other way around? Well, I got this story for you right here, bucko. And it illustrates the problem with just going one way with the race swapping. We have seen black Cleopatra. We have seen black Captain America. We've seen all of these things. Little Mermaid, all of them. Snow White. We know how that went. We've seen all of these race swaps go on, right? Even Hamilton, and that becomes relevant a little bit later on in the story. Race swapping historical characters. The devil may care. Who cares, right? It's all in the name of progression. Well, here we have a story of a little old white woman, and she meant well. She went to her local library, and she said she wanted to do a one-woman show. And she wanted to showcase some of the historical figures for women that she felt were uplifting and inspiring. And she wanted to showcase and show her appreciation and reverence for. However, she was told that she couldn't do a few of them because they were black and she was white. What? Yeah, let's take a look at this, guys. This is on kpbs.org, and the headline goes, white actress sues San Diego County Library for not allowing her to portray black civil rights icons. Oh yeah. And let's get into this. Now, Annette Hubble wrote a one-woman show. In it, she portrays historical figures, white, like herself, and black. Yes, they were black. And she says, it never occurred to me that might even be an issue. She said, I was telling their stories, bringing them alive. Rancho Santa Fe Library asked her to perform her show for Women's History Month way back in 2024, she said. She gave them a list of characters to pick from. All right, they did ask her to perform in Women's History Month last year. She gave them ahead of time a list of characters to pick from. They chose, the library, they chose Harriet Beecher Stowe, a white abolitionist, very nice. Mary McLeod Bethune, a black educator and civil rights leader. And Harriet Tubman, who escaped slavery and led others to freedom along the Underground Railroad. This is weird to me because they knew that she was doing a one-woman show. They did ask her to do it. She gave them ahead of time the list of people that she was going to portray. Or she gave them a list of characters to choose from. Even better, the library chose Mary McLeod Bethune and Harriet Tubman, in addition to Harriet Beecher Stowe. So they knew this ahead of time. But anyway, a couple of weeks before the show, Hubble said they asked her to swap out Bethune and Tubman for white characters. And I said, why? And she said, because it's not appropriate for you to be doing this. You're a white woman. And I said, oh, no. You don't understand. I'm honoring these women I have so carefully researched, Hubble said. And she said, that doesn't matter. And I said, you mean I'm only to perform women whose stories of bravery and courage should be told if they're white? And she said, that's pretty much it. So I'm not getting it. So I said, well, tell me how this is different from the Hamilton play. Now, you guys might know Hamilton, very popular stage play. You can find it on Broadway and other prestigious outlets. And what it does is it showcases a bunch of black people playing a bunch of white historical figures. Hamilton, right? Okay. So they're playing Hamilton, they're playing Jefferson, they're playing, I don't know, all of these historical figures that were white, but the people playing them are black, and they're rapping and they're singing and they're dancing and everyone's cheering. How is this different? You guys get in the comment section. Tell me if right off the bat you're going to tell me, well, that's different. Please tell me how. Going on. Let's see. And she replied, that was historically different. And I said, I don't understand that. Explain that, please. And she said, I can't explain it. And frankly, I'm quite baffled that you don't understand, Hubble recounted. So, oh man, like classic, like deflection. So she can't explain it. So she's like, you know what it means. I can't believe you don't. I have to explain this to you. You know what I mean? Because she can't explain it. The debate escalated to the county's diversity and inclusion team. Who affirmed the decision. Hubble would have to swap out the characters. Ain't that a bitch? And my first thought was, why wasn't I invited to this meeting if it's inclusion? Hubble said, oh man, she's really got him up against the ropes. So they had a meeting to discuss diversity, equity, and inclusion, but they didn't include her. She refused to change the characters. If they had come to me and said, somebody in our library really likes Corey Ten Boom and Gladys Aylward, white characters, would you change out 2 of your characters for them? I would have said, sure. But because they said it was because I was white and they were black, I said that has nothing to do with it. No, I won't. So the library canceled her performance. That's it. Out. Wow. So the funny thing about this, right, is when you talk about CRT and, DEI and all of this stuff, I would believe that the end game of these things are to gain an appreciation for these historical characters. You want their stories to be told, and you want other people to appreciate these people, right? So it's not like this is a major motion picture. This is a local library, one-woman show. She's just going there to your local library on a weekday night, whatever, in front of some probably senior citizens who don't know what the fuck is going on anyway, and she wants to do this little play. I don't see what the problem is. She's showing her reverence and respect for these historical characters. She's literally reading a book. So what are we going to say now? When you're reading a book, you can only read the white characters if you're white, and you have to invite somebody in. Could somebody help me with this part? This is a Negro. I need some help here. I can't read this. Is that where we're going with this, guys? This is the reason why I talk about this stuff, because we are going backwards. This is common sense to me. It's not a big screen adaptation. It's a local library. Why are they giving her a hard time about this? So anyway, the county declined to comment on pending litigation. In an email, county spokesperson Donna Druckel said, the San Diego Library remains steadfast in its mission to promote an inclusive and welcoming environment for all that promotes learning, civic engagement, and community connection. Hubble doesn't use makeup for her characters, just costume changes. So she says, I think if people thought I was doing blackface or a parody of these people, not respecting them, then that might be a cause for objection. And that's a good point, right? She's not doing blackface. She's not mocking them. She's clearly showing her respect, which, like I said, is something that I thought we always wanted, So if you can bring awareness to these strong women, why wouldn't you do that? Especially as a white woman, because you're showing that this thing knows no race, to that degree where you can actually be the person who brings awareness to that, But anyway, let me scroll down, because there's something else I thought was interesting here. And this is the perspective of a black woman, right? And she says, let me see. It's been really interesting, and this is Angie Chandler, all right? She's a black actress, I think, a black stage actress. It's been really interesting to see that all be turned on its head. It's been really interesting to see all that be turned on its head, I guess she's saying, said Angie Chandler, who's advised arts institutions across the country, including San Diego. She advocates, in part, for more stage time for black playwrights and actors. I would think that would be a major stage play situation, not a local library, but anyway. She says, it says Chandler has also played Harriet Tubman. Even as a black woman, it was one of the most difficult roles I've ever had to play, she says. There's a picture of her that I'm going to put in the thumbnail. She is indeed a fat woman, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But what she's saying is because she's fat and she's black, that it makes her more suitable to play Harriet Tubman, who also was overweight, we'll say, and black. Okay, so she says she'd love to play Mary McLeod Bethune, whose body, she said, was central to her experience. A woman over 200 pounds, dark-skinned black woman living in the 1800s and 1900s in this country. There's not a way that I can even invite you into what it's like to walk around this country in a similar body in 2020 and in 2025. Physically objectified, stared at. Hubbell's performance is not the same as the colorblind casting in Hamilton, she said. I don't understand how that might be. It's not a two-way street because colorblindness is a response, she said. A response to historic exclusion, to the erasure of our stories and our parts of different chapters in history in this country. Okay, so basically what she's saying is that not anyone, or not just anyone, can play an overweight black actress. It should be more specific to the person who's actually playing it. Dude, I mean, like I said, when you're talking about, and I think what's really important here is the fact that it is, once again, a local library production. You know, this is not going to have far-reaching implications. You know, it's not for major release or anything like that. And I don't see how this is different from Hamilton. Because basically what you're saying is that a black person can play a white person, but a white person can't play a black person because a black person's experience is so unique. But I would argue that a white person's experience is so unique also. After all, we like to sell this idea of white privilege, right? It's specific to white people. White supremacy is specific to white people. If you believe in that type of thing, which you guys know that I do not. So I don't see how there's a difference. And honestly, if I were Annette Hubbell, I would say this library, I'm curious, I'm not saying that it does, but I know that very popular in these local libraries, they will have something called drag queen reads to kids or drag queen story time or something, where you bring these drag queens in, and for some reason, they like to read to toddlers, to little kids. And these libraries throw open the doors and they welcome them in. And I'm sorry, these are men dressing as something that they are not. Men dressing as women, right? Wearing dresses, all decked out. Sometimes they have their faces painted, all that stuff. Wearing makeup, heavy makeup. What's the difference? Why do they allow that? If they want to be so precise, if they want to be so politically correct, why is there a difference between a white woman showing respect towards these black historical figures, women, strong women, that she wants to highlight, and men dressing up as women coming in to read to children? I don't understand what the difference is here, guys. But if you do, please get in the comment section. Tell me what the difference is here. You know, but once again, here we go for the okie doke, because we have an opportunity to showcase black history outside of Black History Month, go figure, and raise awareness to an appreciation, which we so sorely need these days, to these black historical figures. But for some reason, we're allowing these people, and say it with me, the American Society of Magical Liberals, to come in and just sabotage the whole effort. So these women are being limited in their exposure to the masses. You know, I personally, I just think it's more of the flim flam, the okey doke, and I don't appreciate that. So I'm going to be watching for this story, man. You know, I just think that it's very interesting, because here we are in this culture now where everything is being race swapped, and people just applaud this in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And every new movie, every new reimagining and reboot, you can expect to see that race swap. But for some reason, it can't go the other way around, even when we're talking about showing respect and wanting people to raise awareness, you know, to what these people did in the past. So, guys, anyway, Just wanted to throw that out there because I thought it was very peculiar. You guys can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about this. Do you think the library was right in canceling her show? Do you think that she was right in just wanting to show respect for these characters? What do you think the answer is? I don't know. I think it's a big old plate of hypocrisy. But as always, guys, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. If you like to, you can contribute to this ever-diminishing channel by hitting the super thanks feature on each and every one of my videos. Guys, as always, I thank you for being there with me. I appreciate you. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on. Da 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 do. Crumble.